tuned into The Truth with G. Inspire, educate, and uplift. If you can't handle the truth, this ain't the show for you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So sit back, relax, and buckle up and enjoy this ride.
The Truth with G. The Truth with G. The Truth with G.
All right. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Truth with G, WPMM Internet Radio. I am your boy, Gerald Graham, also known as G. Once again, we are back to talk about the issues that matter to you and your community. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023. We are rolling along through this year. This month is gone already. It seems like it just started about 3 days ago, and we are already over halfway through the month. But we're headed toward the holiday seasons. We're getting ready for you go in the stores, you see Halloween stuff up, and you see Christmas stuff going up, and it's been crazy. It seemed like this year just started, and we're already through it. But I want to thank you once again for joining me right here on WPMM Internet Radio, Facebook Live for The Truth with G. We're in our third year. With 3 years have been doing this, and it's been a wonderful ride. So I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I want to thank you, my listening audience, and for the people that listen for the first time tonight. And all my people that's been listening over the 3 years, all my ride or dies that have been with me just about every single night that I'm on, which we are on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 o'clock p.m. We didn't do a show last Thursday because I took a little hiatus, had to take a little time off and trying to gather myself. And it's been an interesting few days for me. Things going on in the family, but we have to handle it and we have to continue to move on. We have to press on and press through. And just keep on relying on the goodness of the God that we serve to take. Right here on Internet Radio. So thank you so very much. I think my picture turned sideways for a second there. I apologize for that. But anyway, it is Monday. We are back on the grind. Brand new week, and brand new adventures. And a couple of topics that we're going to talk about tonight. It is Monday night, so we're going to talk Monday Night Football talk tonight. Monday Night Football talk, we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend in sports, in college world, and the pro football world, because, there's nothing better than talking sports. We're going to do that tonight, so tune in for that. Also, a fatherless child. We're going to talk a fatherless child tonight, and I'm telling you why I want to talk about that. And it wasn't something that I had on the agenda for tonight. It actually just kind of popped up earlier today. Just listening to some testimony and some situations coming from somebody that, famous that we know. And that's how that topic came along. But it kind of touched me. So I felt that I needed to talk about a fatherless child and the role that fathers plays in their children's lives. So talk about that a few minutes. Then we're going to jump into the football. We're going to jump into football tonight. And also, if you want to join me in the football talk, please do. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the link up. I'm going to put the link up on the screen for those who want to join me for Monday Night Football talk. You will be live on the air. And you will be live on Facebook as well. So when I do put the link up, just copy that link into your browser and follow the prompts to get on. That way we can talk football tonight. But we are WPMM Internet Radio, where we play more music. We play the best in R&B, jazz, neo, soul, independent, hip-hop, and old school music. You can listen to WPMM from our website at WPMMradio.com. You can go to TuneIn. You can also tell Alexa to play WPMM. She will oblige as well. We're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also text someone, WPMMradio.com. All they have to do is click on the link, hit play, and they can listen to the show as well. Views and opinions expressed by individual radio hosts and guests are their own and not necessarily the reflection of the official policy of WPMM Radio. WPMM does not intend to align with any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, or anyone or anything. Right. Now that we got the particulars out the way, a fatherless child. Real quick, the violence in Pensacola still continues. Let's just touch on that just a little bit because I talk about that. So it seems like every single night that's a topic that we have. The violence continues. We have to figure out a way to get this under control. You know, we still have unnecessary shootings, stabbings, things of that nature going on. We have to get a grip on that, and we need to find a way to curb the violence. I know there's not a foolproof way to stop the violence altogether, but we can band together and come up with ideas and come up with tactics and implement plans and things of that nature to try to cut down on these things. You know, if you give people stuff to do, if you give people purpose in life, they seem to value life a little bit more, and they may cut out that foolishness. And that's going to be the hard part. You know, we can create the resources, but we have to get the people to take advantage of the resources. You know, like the old saying say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And but we have to have the resources in place so that they can operate and you know, do what they need to do to stop this violence. So we really need to get a grip on that. And you know, I hate talking about that every single night, but it seems to where, you know, we only get one or two nights of quiet, and then next thing you know, shots fired, and we're talking about another act of violence again. So, you know, let's do that. Also, with our government things are going on with the government. September 30th is coming up. The government shutdown is looming. The Republicans are trying to make it difficult for the debt ceiling to be raised, for bills to be passed in order to keep the government open. They want to attach a bunch of bull crap to these bills to try to force the Democrats to vote on their bull crap. But, you know, if the Democrats fold on it, that means they're giving the Republicans the leader in the House is saying that they're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe, if you will, and they're going to stand steadfast in their beliefs that will better the country versus playing revenge politics that the Republicans are doing. And that's why it's so important that we have to get out and vote, because these Republicans are creating and making laws that are taking us back into the days of Jim Crow, right? Prior to Jim Crow, before we had any rights, if you will. So, and you know, we have Speaker McCarthy, that's Republican minority leader in the House, who's a joke. He's being led by people like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. And all three of those are idiots. Lauren Boebert is being fondled in a play, and you know, she's getting fondled, her breast getting played with, and she grabbing the crotch of her date and vaping in the theaters and all this stupid crap she's going on, and then she lied about it, said it didn't happen. That's what Republicans do. You know, she definitely said, oh, it never happened. But what Republicans are too stupid to realize is that you cannot go anywhere without being under the eye of a video camera. There are video cameras everywhere. So anything that you say or do, more than likely, it's going to end up on videotape. So when the videotape comes out, then she's tried to come up with another excuse. But anyway, we have to get out and vote, people. Voting is going to be the key to getting out of this terrible situation that we are in, with the Republicans being the majority in the House. They're also coming out with impeachment, trying to open up an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden over something that happened, something that they have no evidence of anything that's happened, and then this supposedly took place when Joe Biden was vice president when Obama was in office. So we're going back several years, and they're opening an impeachment inquiry and have no evidence whatsoever to even open the inquiry. So, I mean, the Republicans are running amok in our government. And if we sane people, I'm not even going to say Democrats, if we sane people don't get out and vote these idiots out of office, this chaos is going to continue. So, the 2024 vote is coming up faster than we think. We're 12 months, about 13 months away from November. It'll be here before we know it. And we have to get out and vote, particularly as black people. The black vote has a lot of pull into deciding these races, because most of these political races are within a point or two, and that point or two can be made up with the black vote. And if we don't get out in numbers, I know the last election we had, our numbers look better, but we have to remember that we are 13% of the population. So we can't show up at 40%, 30% in the vote. We have to show up at 90% in the vote. So if you are eligible to vote, and you need to register, and if you're a registered vote, you need to vote. It is so very important. And if you don't vote, and we end up in a situation where we are stuck in a land, we have a dictator, if you will, and we have these dictators, whether it's on the federal level or the state level, we have these dictators putting these laws through. It's gonna look like the days of Jim Crow, and it's already headed that way now. The laws that are being passed now are racially biased, and it's because the Republicans, especially in the state of Florida, they rule the House and the Senate. So anything that they want to put on the floor, they're going to get through. And then we have an asshole of a governor that's going to sign any bill that is that deals with race, where it makes the white race the superior race. He's going to sign anything that comes across his desk that uplift the white people and put down black and brown people. That's the governor that we have. So, but anyway, a fatherless child. I just want to say a few words in regards to a fatherless child, and and the role of fathers in our children's lives. And I don't think that a lot of people who hesitate to be a true parent, a true role model, if you will, I don't think that they really give it a lot of thought, because if they gave it a lot of thought, they would do better. So I think it's a thing that, if out of sight, out of mind, pretty much. So as long as they don't have to see what they're dealing with, as long as they don't see that child and have to deal with that child, they don't think about it. But the role of that father in that child's life is crucial. It is very crucial to the upbringing and to the success, a lot of times, of that child. And I'm not saying that a child without a father cannot be successful. I did not say that. I said that the effects of a father in that life has a great bearing on how that child comes up, and it then is up to that child how he overcomes not having that father in his life. And I know there's a lot of situations where mothers aren't in their children's life as well. However, tonight we're talking about a fatherless child. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was earlier this morning, I was listening to my wife, had passed through the kitchen where my wife was sitting there listening to Kirk Franklin's story. And if you don't know who Kirk Franklin is the Grammy-winning gospel artist, and he has been on a journey, if you will. He's in his 50s, and it was in his 50s, as far as his age, it was in his 50s that he found out that the father that he always known to be his father, even though that man was not and played an active role in his life, he found out the man that he believed for 50 some odd years was his father is not his father. And he found his biological father There were two separate DNA tests done on him, and both tests came back to show that the individual that he found was his real father, and the guy that he knew as his father for 50 something years apparently wasn't in his life. So he kind of had a double whammy, if you will, a double slap in the face, because he grew up knowing a man that was supposed to be his father that wasn't in his life. And then the man that was actually his father knew nothing about him until he was in his 50s. Until Kurt was in his 50s. And it's sad because his mother still denies the fact that the individual that took the DNA test and he found that yes, Kurt Franklin was his son. The mother still denies that. Even after 2 DNA tests, the mother still denies that. So, subsequently, Kurt ended up basically kind of severing ties with his mother, because his mother wouldn't just acknowledge the fact that, yes, I did whatever 50 some odd years ago. And, I thought this was your father, but it wasn't. But this man is your father. She never did any of that. She just flat out denied that the man that came out to be 99.99999% his father on 2 separate tests, she flat out denied that he is not his father. And Kurt, he went on to describe the struggles that he had prior to the fame and fortune, if you will. He described how he was, talked about how he was homeless. Talked about how he, struggled to eat. Talked about how he had to pawn, take that stuff to pawn shops just to get money to get food to eat. He talked about the fact that he, they had to sleep in his car and things of that nature, and he struggled until he caught a break in the music world and doing gospel music, to which he, has become a great success in. But he did all that under the auspice and under the impression that the father that was not in his life, that he knew as his father, was not in his life. He did it without him. And he probably wouldn't have went through that struggle if he had known the real father, who the real father was. Because once he met the real father embraced him. The real father told him that if he known that Kurt existed, he would have been there for him. But he never knew that he had a child until Kurt was 50 some odd years old. And I said all that to say this. We have a lot of situations out there where people don't know their fathers. People don't know who their fathers are, or where people know who their fathers are and their fathers are not there for them. Where we have situations where mothers keep their kids from their biological fathers who want to be a part of their life, and then they end up in situations where whoever the parent is with is not a father figure and is not treating the child in the way that they should be treated, and then you have abuse situations and things of that nature. But what we need to do is make sure that we as men, if you suspect that you have a father that is a living father, let me take that back. If you suspect that you have a child out there, if you have doubts, get rid of the doubt. Make sure that you are doing what's necessary, the necessary test, DNA test, whatever you have to do to prove that child is yours, and then play an active role in that child's life. Fatherless children make up of 80% of the population of our prison systems. I take that back. I said fatherless. Children from single parent homes make up 80% of the prison population. So that should tell you there's a pattern there. There's a pattern there. So that should be an indication that the role of a father is very, very important, is extremely important. And if you don't want to be a father, a dad, if you will, if you don't want to be a father, stop doing the things that will bring you into that role, or protect yourself while you're doing things that could take you into that role. You know, there's plenty of methods out there that keep you from becoming a parent if you do not wish to be a parent. It will keep you from becoming a parent if you are laying down with somebody who you know is not going to be around for a life. If you procreate a life and bring another child into this world, you pretty much know that person that you laying down with is not going to be around. Men, that woman that you laying down with, you pretty much know if that woman is going to be a mother and a proper mother to those children. You already know before you lay down with them. So my thing is, don't lay down with them if you don't think that they're going to be right for your child, man or woman. But I can guarantee you, the kids that do not have a father or a father figure envy those that do. Those are the ones who want that father in their life. And I tell you, I have revelations all the time. The older I get, the more I tend to have these revelations, and the more I think about it, because as a young person, I kind of put blinders on, if you will. I kind of put blinders on growing up, and I grew up in the mode to where I'm not secretive about my situation. I tell everybody I didn't have a father in my life. I didn't have a father figure in my life. I never had a male role model coming up in my life. I never had a father figure to embrace me, to hug me and say, I love you. I never had that. Never in my life. But I grew up, in my younger years, in my early adulthood or whatever, I grew up with the mentality of, fuck you, I don't need you. That was my mentality from early on, early age that I can remember. Fuck you, I don't need you. I'm going to be okay without you. And the older I got, the more wiser I got, the more I thought about it, because, growing up, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. Again, it was fuck you, I don't need you. So I didn't think about it much. And when I did think about it, it was fuck you, I don't need you. And then I got older and things happen, and then you wonder why things happen. You wonder why you this way. You wonder why you operate this way. You wonder why you feel this way, certain way about things or whatever. And you start putting things together, and it adds up, and you start to see, why is my character this way? Why do I react to things in this manner? Why do I expect this person to be this way? Why do I expect the attention to be, why do I want this attention? And why do I need this person to give me this, that, and the other? And it has a lot to do with your upbringing. It has a lot to do with the absence of that person that you wanted. So I went from a fuck you, I don't need you mentality to I wanted that father figure. I didn't necessarily want that person to be the father figure that I was looking for. I just wanted, and I realized that I needed a father figure, a person that was going to be there to guide me, to nurture me, to protect me, to teach me, to give me good advice, to show me how to change a tire, or to work on an engine, or to cut the yard, or what. I wanted. I found out that I wanted that in my life, and I didn't have it. And it. The older I get, the more troublesome that get to when I start thinking about, and especially when I kind of put it next to how I am with my kids and how I am with my boys. I kind of put it next to that, and I've always said that I want to be the father that I never had. My goal is to try to be the father that I never had. I'm not perfect. I am so far from being a perfect father, being a perfect, adult, being a perfect male. I'm so flawed. And I don't have a problem with admitting that I'm flawed. I don't have a problem admitting that I was not a perfect parent, and still to this day, I am not a perfect parent. I have not always done everything right. I've made my mistakes. I've bumped into the walls. I got the bruises, and I got the scars to show for it, that I wasn't always the best father, or made the best decisions in all situations. But I can tell you that I tried. I can tell you that I never gave up. I can tell you that I never threw in the towel. I can tell you that I never tried to pawn off my responsibilities onto anybody else to raise or help raise my children. I took the responsibility on. I created these kids, and I took on the role as a father. So I was going to act as such. But these kids need that father figure in their life. And if for the women out there who think that they don't need that guy that they lay down with to have this child, when you say I don't need him, you might not need him, but you can't speak for that child. That child needs him. Because if you keep saying, I don't need him, I don't want him in my child's life, and this, that, and the other, when that child grows up, he's going to resent you. Especially if you're the one that kept that child away from his father, his or her father. They're going to resent you. They're going to ask you, why didn't you let me be, or why didn't you let my father be in my life? Because the father's supposed to be a protector. They're supposed to protect, and fathers aren't always happy-go-lucky and playful and this, that, and other. But father's supposed to be I'd say leader, because especially if you're in a relationship, you go 50-50 in order to have a successful relationship. Nobody should be telling anybody what to do, or whatever the case may be. It should be an agreement. But that's a whole nother show. That's a relationship show. We'll talk about that on another day. But when we come to parenting, fathers need to be fathers, because it's going to show in that child's life. I just thank God that I went the right direction. I just thank God that I went the opposite direction of what I saw and what I grew up with. Again, I'm not perfect. Never claim to be perfect. Never will be perfect. I make my mistakes. but I make sure that I'm in my children's life. I made sure, even though all my boys are grown now, my last one is in college at the moment, and still to this day, I will give you all the best advice in the world, all the tools that you need to be a successful person, not a rich person, because I'm not rich. So I can't teach you how to be rich if I ain't rich, because I ain't made it there yet. Hopefully one day I get there, but I'm not rich as far as monetary, as far as money goes. But I give my kids solid advice. I give my kids good advice. I give my kids guidance. I give them nurturing. I give them the tools that they need to be successful as an individual, as an adult. It's up to them to take heed. I can't, just like I said earlier, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But I can definitely give them the tools that they need. So fathers, if you're out there ducking and dodging and not doing your responsibilities and not playing the role that you have put yourself into, nobody told you to lay down with that woman. Nobody told you to go in there unprotected and raw dogging and all this. And that that's going to result in the development of and birth of a child. You choose to lay down with the wrong person and have a child, and you got to deal with the wrong person for the rest of your life. Now, for at least 18 years after that child is born. But be fathers. Be in that child's life. Mothers, stop saying I can do it all by myself. You can't. Them kids want their father. They need a father. They really need their father. And I didn't realize that until I was in my latter years. It took me a long time to realize that. Again, I had the fuck you mentality. Fuck it. I don't need you. And I did well for myself under the circumstances. But I was talking to my wife earlier today, and I was telling her just how much further I would be if I would have had that guidance. Because my younger adulthood, I was all over the place. I had no, I was trial and error. I was trying to be a man that I didn't know what that responsible man was, and I tried to create that within myself, and I had my bumps and bruises. But if I had someone that nurtured and guided me and gave me a pathway to success, I can only imagine where I would be today. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not a rich man. I am far from rich, but I'm rich in knowledge. I'm rich in love and giving my love to my kids and my knowledge and wisdom to my kids. So fathers, be a kid. All right, let's jump on into Monday Night Football Talk. Monday Night Football Talk. Let's run through these scores. We got a little bit of time here. We got about 25 minutes. Mr. Pugh is on. Mr. Murphy, what's going on, Mr. Murphy? We have Miss Angela. How you doing tonight, Miss Angela? That's my sister right there. Mr. Larry Pugh says CSU player made a dirty hit on Hunter. Should he be suspended? What do you think? Well, let me get to the scores, and Mr. Pugh, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. I'll give you my thoughts on that situation. Monday Night Football Talk. Let's go over the scores. What happened this weekend? It was an interesting weekend in football, just like last weekend. I tell you, there's more excitement in this football season, especially in the college level. Deion prime time. He has done something for sports that has not been done for a long time. He's not the biggest story in college football. He is the biggest story in sports, period. The impact that he is making on sports as a whole is unreal. And a lot of people are embracing it. And then at the same time, we have a lot of people that are haters that want to rain on his parade. And I'm not even going to call it his parade. I rain on the sports parade. This man went to Colorado, and we'll talk about his score, but this is the biggest story in sports, and it's generating a lot of interest. It's generating a lot of revenue. It's generating a lot of opportunities for the kids that are playing there. Colorado also it's generating a lot of recognition for kids who don't play for Colorado. Anybody that plays Colorado, you're gonna have those 7-8 million people watching on television, and if they playing in Colorado, that stadium only holds 40-some thousand people, but they're putting 50 and 60,000 people in the stands. Standing room only in the stands, and ticket prices that start at like $500 some odd dollars. So they generating the revenue for the university and the city of Boulder, the interest there. People are the economy, the money that he's bringing to the economy is outrageous, and he done transformed sports. One man, in what he's doing in his effort. Mr. Murphy, I need you to stop with that foolishness. I need you to roll tide. The tide gonna roll on until they're gonna be struggling to be bowl eligible by the end of the season. They might go 6-6 and get in a bowl game, but they're gonna play their bowl game on the day after Thanksgiving. And if you're playing in a bowl that early, that's the Perdido Bowl, where they play at Perdido Field. So we'll see if they make a bowl, but they'll be 6-6. They'll play some school in East Tennessee somewhere. But anyway, Chris, you know Alabama's sorry, and we're not even gonna talk about it. 3 points in the half against South Florida. 3 points, really? Roll Tide. But anyway, let's go over these scores real quick, because we have to get through these scores before the end of the show. We started out on Thursday night. With Miami and Bethune-Cookman. Obviously, Miami beat Bethune 48-7. Miami moved up in the polls as well. I think they had number 25 on the new poll. If I'm not, but they creeped in the top 25. With that win, they're 3-0. Miami's 3-0. I don't like Miami. Don't root for them. Only Florida school I root for is Florida State. Well, I root for Florida State, FAMU, UWF. I don't root for Florida Gators. I don't root for the Miami Hurricanes. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. It's not in my DNA to do that. That was Thursday night game. Then on Saturday, we had Georgia being squeaked past South Carolina 24-14, which was an interesting game. Georgia just, people expected Georgia to win that game big, and, they won by 10, but it's still a win, and they still reigning national champs, so they're going to stay at number 1. Michigan beat Bowling Green 31-6. And if you notice these scores, even though that these teams are winning, if you notice, it's not where these powerhouse teams are running up 60, 70, 80 points on teams anymore, because the level of competition at these smaller schools is getting much, much better, especially based on the transfer portal. Because you have, I was having a discussion with somebody here recently about this. In the transfer portal, you got these 4 and 5 stars that are being recruited to these Power 5 schools, and they get there and they find out that there are other 4 or 5 stars that's already there, and they have to wait their turn. So instead of waiting their turn, they get there and face and see reality, and that okay, you got to stand on the sideline for 2 or 3 years before you get your opportunity at this Power 5 college, and then they jump into the transfer portal to go somewhere else where they, as a 4 or 5 star athlete, they will be able to play. And that's at the South Floridas, at the University of North Alabama's, at the Austin Peay's and USA's, at those schools. Now those schools are getting those 4 and 5 star recruits. So when they go in and play the Power 5 teams and teams in the Power Five conference, it's not that they're just going to go in and roll over those teams, because those teams are getting better athletes now. And anybody that's playing in college, and don't think that I'm trying to diminish anybody's talent that's playing at these smaller schools, because trust me, if you're going to play at somebody's college, you have a level of expertise or experience, if you will, to earn your way into somebody's school. So I'm not saying, anybody's playing in college and nobody's there, you can just, shake your head at and just dismiss them, because they're all athletes. Mr. Murphy said, I like what the portal is doing for the other schools. Yes, it is giving the opportunity for those 4 and 5 stars who think that they're going to go to these Power 5 schools and start as freshmen or redshirt freshmen or sophomores. And we do have some freshmen that play in these Power 5 schools, Power 5 conference, if you will. We have some freshman starters, but it's not that many. It's not that many. You got to wait your turn. But if you don't want to sit and wait your turn, then they get in the portal and they go to a smaller school, a FCS school, or what have you, or a JUCO or whatever, so they can play. But anyway, that's what's happening. That's why you don't see these scores like you have seen in the past, where you've seen Ohio State go in and beat somebody, 72-3, or Florida State beating somebody, 60-10. You don't see those kind of scores nowadays, because again, these smaller schools are getting better athletes or more highly recruited athletes through the transfer portal. But anyway, Michigan beat Bowling Green 31-6. Florida State in a thriller. I didn't see the second half of that game. I thought Florida State was going to when I was watching the game, they were up a couple of scores, and then apparently Boston College made a surge. But in the defense of Florida State, because obviously y'all know Florida State is I root for Florida State. If you go back and look over the years, Boston College has always played Florida State tough. It's not just this year that Boston College have always played Florida State tough. So when Florida State and Boston College get together, Florida State don't automatically just, put a check mark on a win. They got to go in there and play some ball, and they found that out again this year. Then we had Wyoming and Texas. Texas won 31-10. Ohio State beat Western Kentucky 63-10. Penn State over Illinois 30-13. We had Washington over Michigan State 41-7. Michigan State was 2-0 at the time, and Washington was 2-0 as far as well when they played that game. So Michigan State got kind of exposed a little bit playing Washington. Notre Dame 41-17 over Central Michigan. Again, that's another one of those games where Notre Dame, if you went back in the past, or Notre Dame would have probably beat them 60-something-10. But it was 41-17, a much closer ball game. Even though they still lost by 3 scores, it's still a more competitive ball game. Alabama and South Florida. Alabama got lucky on this one, because South Florida, even though the South Florida only scored 3 points, South Florida defense showed up and they tightened up and they kept Alabama out the end zone. Alabama had 3 points at the half. Then they came back in the third quarter. Alabama only scored 1 touchdown in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, they did not score until like 33 seconds on the clock at the end of the game to make it look like they did something. But that game should have been 10-3. It should have been 10-3. Even though Alabama would still won it, but it should have been 10-3. But they let Alabama score with 30-some seconds left on the clock. I know you won, but Alabama playing South Florida. Alabama is supposed to be as Alabama fans would say, Alabama is supposed to be always the best team in the conference. But you struggle against South Florida. You had a big South Florida shut your offense down. Shut them down. So, but anyway, Alabama won, unfortunately. That put a damper on my weekend. Florida, even though I'm not a Florida Gator. I'm not a Gator fan by far. I was actually rooting for Tennessee to win that one. Tennessee let me down. Florida won that game 29-16. Also, I think Florida creeped up in the polls as well. I think they're number 25, 24 somewhere. No, did they get in the polls? I have to look again. But Florida beat Tennessee. Tennessee was ranked number 11 at the time. And then we had Utah over Weber State. Utah going to have to face Colorado coming up here soon. And we'll see what they do in that aspect of things. Then you have Oregon 55-10 over Hawaii. Then LSU 41-14 over Mississippi State. LSU has risen in the polls as well. I don't know why they are where they are as a one-loss team. At the same time, I don't know why Alabama where they are as one-loss team, because everybody behind them has not lost a game. But you got LSU and Alabama in there at like number 12 and 13 in the polls with one loss, and every single team behind them it hadn't lost a game yet. We're not hating, Chris. We're not hating. It's not hating. I promise you, it's not hating. It's politics. It's politics. That's what it is. Where are we? Missouri beat Kansas State 30-27. We had Oregon State 26-9 over San Diego State. Ole Miss beat Georgia Tech 48-23. Georgia Tech is 1-2. They got to get it together. Got to make the ACC look a little bit better than that. Colorado State. Here's the game. Mr. P was asking me what I thought about the play in that game, and I'm going to tell you here. Colorado State. I actually anticipated that Colorado was going to win that game by 3 scores. However, once it became personal, as Deion say, it's personal, I knew that Colorado State was going to come out and try to make a statement. They weren't going to come out and just lay down against Colorado because of what took place leading up to the game. So I at game time, I knew it was going to be a struggle. I was actually kind of worried. I didn't get to watch the whole game. I watched a little bit of the first quarter. At that particular time, I was on the East Coast, so that game didn't start until like 10 o'clock on the East Coast. I was on the East Coast at the time, and I had to get up early the next morning to get on the road to get back home. So I didn't watch. I didn't stay up until 3 a.m. watching that game. I just wasn't going to do it. Matter of fact, I stopped at halftime, and at halftime it was already midnight where I was, and I had to get up at like 4:30 in the morning. So I went on to bed, and I woke up a few hours later, hoping that Colorado pulled it out, which they did. But I see it was a tight game as Colorado State came to play. Mr. Pugh asked me earlier in the chat here, when Mr. Murphy said it was an awesome game. Yeah, it was. It was turned out to be a great game. Shedeur Sanders showed out again. 300 and I think he had 340 some yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns. The other Sanders kid showed out with an interception, a score, and I think he had a fumble, forced fumble. He had a good game, you know. Then Travis Hunter went down on a late cheap shot. And I think Mr. Pugh asked earlier, what did I think about that particular play? Let me find his comment here. Lab Pugh says CSU player made a dirty hit on Hunter. Should he be suspended? What do you think? Anytime that particular play, that hit was unnecessary. It did not have to take place. It was after the whistle. It was after he was out of bounds. It did not have to take place. I think the minimum that should have happened is that player should have been ejected out of the game. That's the minimum. That player should not have been able to continue playing that game. He should have been at least thrown out that game. Once he was thrown out of that game, the NCAA should have looked at their play. Whatever governing board that they had should have looked at their play and decided if that play warranted any further suspensions. Do I think it warranted further suspensions? Yeah, because that play was uncalled for. It seemed like Travis was targeted. Even, people think targeting is, hitting with the crown of your head. But I just feel like, and I've seen coaches. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it on little league level, so I know it happens. It has to happen on the upper levels as well. I've seen where coaches target these players, and they say, "Okay, I need that player out of the game," which pisses me off to know that goes on, especially with our kids, and I call our college kids, if you will. But I just feel like it was intentional. I feel like it was targeted. I feel like that at some point in time, the coach told those players, "I need him out of the game." I can't say that's for sure. I don't have any evidence to back that up. That's just a gut feeling that I have. But again, minimum, that player should have been thrown out the game. And then the NCAA should have looked at that play, should have looked at it in its totality, looked at all the angles or whatever they have to do, and decided on if there are any further suspensions that are warranted for that hit. Because that hit changed the whole dynamics of the game. This happened in the first quarter of that game, first half, if you will. So Colorado played the rest of that game without their, most athletic player on that field. However, they still came out with the win without that player on the field. They still got the win. So that just shows the ability to overcome adversity that Colorado and Deion Sanders have. Because when your best player go down, you are automatically look at the Jets. Look at the Jets. They Aaron Rodgers went down, and it's like the city just shut down. So Mr. Pugh said, why the ref didn't eject? That's the good question. We don't know. We don't know why the ref did not eject. We don't know. I wish somebody would answer that question. I wish somebody would give us answers to that question, Mr. Pugh. But I've been saying with Travis, I understand Travis is a great athlete. He's a great ball player and football player. I just personally do not agree with playing that kid every snap on both sides of the ball. I wouldn't do it as a coach. I wouldn't do it. I understand he want to play, but as a coach, I wouldn't do it, because if you're giving the kid 160, 170, 180 snaps a game, when normally they should only play 70 snaps if they play just defense or offense, you're doubling the opportunity for that player to get injured. So if he had not been out there on that particular team, or if he was only playing one side of the ball, his chances would have been less to get hurt. So I don't agree with that, even though I know the kid is a great athlete and he can play both sides of the ball, but I just don't believe that he needs to be out there every snap. That was my issue. You can play him on both sides, play him in situations, what have you, but he don't need to be out there every snap. But yeah, that late hit should have warranted him ejected out of the game, and the NCAA should have looked at it and determined if there are any further penalties that needed to be implemented in that situation. But anyway, Colorado got the win, and they are electrifying the whole college scene, and he's doing great things for college football. Did great things last couple of years for the HBCUs at Jackson State, and now he's doing great things for college football in its totality, if you will. All right, North Carolina beat Minnesota 31-13. Oklahoma over Tulsa 66-17. Northwestern lost to Duke 39-14. Duke is on the ranked, if you will. They're undefeated at this point. Duke is no longer just a basketball school. They can play some football. And like I said last week, they have some athletes over there. They have some athletes on that football team that are going to get a look. They're going to get a look. So UCLA 55-7 over North Carolina. Oh, my bad. And then we have Iowa over Western Michigan 41-10. So that is our college scores. And I talked so much about fatherless child until we have ran out of time to go over the pro scores, because there's a program coming up right after mine on WPMM radio in about 4 minutes. But it was an interesting weekend. We have a Monday night game tonight that people are going to check out as well. And what I'll do is come back on Thursday with the score. Well, let's run through. Let's run through real quick. Eagles 34-28 over the Vikings. Falcons 25-24 over the Packers. The Falcons are 2-0. Raiders lost to the Bills 38-10. The Ravens beat the Bengals 27-14. The Seahawks over the Lions 37-31. The Titans over the Chargers 27-24. The Tampa Bay 27-17 over the Bears. Tampa is 2-0 at this time. The Chiefs came back and got a win against the Jaguars 17-9. So the Chiefs were not going to open their season 0-2. If it was up to Mahomes, he wasn't going to let it happen. The Colts over the Texans 31-20. The 49ers 30-23 over the Rams. The Giants got a win 31-28 over the Cardinals. The Cowboys won over the Jets 30-10. Jets without Aaron Rodgers for the season. The Commanders beat the Denver 35-33. Denver's 0-2 right now. The Dolphins over the Patriots 24-17. That game came real close last night. I'm glad Belichick lost. I don't like Belichick. But anyway, those are the scores from yesterday. And it's been a good football weekend. And hopefully next weekend will be better. But it is time for me to get up out of here. I want to thank you guys for joining me right here on the Triple G on WPMM Internet Radio. Got a new program coming up next, if I'm not mistaken. And the name, I have forgot the name of it, but stick around on WPMM Internet Radio for the new show, the new affiliate, new show that we have up next, and also for the great music. So I will be back on Thursday night, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you join me. Appreciate you joining me tonight. You guys be safe out there. Make smart decisions. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get yourself in trouble. If you're going out partying or whatever, make sure you're being responsible. A Uber or a tow truck costs less than a DUI. Remember that. Get somebody to take you home before you go ahead and get in that car and you're not fit to be driving. So y'all be safe out there, okay? But it's time for me to go. I see you Thursday. Y'all be safe. Y'all be blessed. And I am out of here.